Hello and welcome back to RCD Roundtable. This is episode 3, and extremely excited today to have on Aaron Hungerholt, who is part of a school that has gone through our model school process, currently in year 4 of implementation of responsibility-centered discipline, and just excited today to explore and pick the brain of Aaron and see what it's like in the trenches here now that they're up and humming in year 4. And so without further ado, I will step out of the way. Aaron, do you mind just taking a minute to talk a little bit about your building before we jump into the conversation?
Sure. We're a small rural town in southeast Minnesota. We have a pre-K 12 building. Everybody's in one building, a little over 300 students total. Everything's good down here, steady numbers, things like that. So, we really have a family atmosphere down here. Everybody knows everybody. And this RCD is exactly what I was looking for. It's kind of the philosophy I think I've done my entire career with teaching and administration, and without the title, didn't really know, without the, you know what I mean? So once I found Larry, this is exactly what I was looking for. And here we are, year 4, implemented it. And that's kind of what our school is about right now. So.
Absolutely. And I would kind of just jumping into the conversation here, thinking about obstacles or areas of growth that made you realize there's a need for doing classroom management or discipline differently. They're different from every school across the nation, but in your building specifically, what types of frustrations or areas of growth or deficits, maybe even amongst staff, that you felt like it's time to begin to look at things differently?
Well, I think one of my strengths has always been relationship building. So obviously that's what RCD is about. But what I saw working here over the years, I'm going on year 15, was I saw more in the middle school and high school, not so much the elementary, but teachers would get frustrated with a student, and they would just send them out of the classroom. Go to the principal's office, let him deal with it. Go to the dean of students office, let them deal with it. So I knew, I would build a relationship with the student when they'd come to me. I would talk them in, and yeah, they would do it for me. They'd go back to the classroom, they'd be good because I asked them to be good, and it lasts a day. And then and really, when you think about it, we weren't fixing the problem. There was an issue there. The teacher, the student, what was the issue? Was it between them? Was it just the student having a bad day? Was it the students that think the teacher cared? So all those things we think about really led me to, there's got to be a better way. I kind of knew what I wanted. I just didn't know how to get there. And when I first saw Larry speak, I'm like, that's exactly what I needed. So really, that's what I saw was, it's just kind of more the same old. I don't want to say it was a tradition or what you want to say to that, but it was student misbehaves, I kick them out of the room and somebody else deals with them, so that I can keep on teaching. And that's really what I saw, and really what led me to, this is exactly what we need to do. And those teachers also, it wasn't nothing against them. It's just that's how they had taught, and past administration was okay with those things. And I really felt a change was necessary, especially with a small school. To me, it was a lot easier just because of the relationship building. Everybody knows everybody. So we just really wanted to go that direction.
Absolutely. And one thing you mentioned a couple times in sharing there is the idea of the value of relationships. And I think all of us understand in education how valuable it is to build that positive relationship with a student. If you can just maybe briefly describe how does the tools, strategies, perspectives of RCD allow to build those meaningful relationships, and not just in the good times, but when you've got to address a challenging behavior, how are we still able to stay relational using the tools of RCD?
I think the first thing is, the students, the first thing I noticed was the students being like, wait, the teacher's talking to me, the teacher's asking me what's wrong. It's last year they just said, get out of my room. So I think it was just a little bit of a shock to the students of just because the teacher talked to them or asked them what was wrong, or I think the students are saying, man, maybe they really do care. Maybe I didn't really diagnose our relationship that well. And the thing I saw was just that the students were like, wow, the teacher, cared about me enough to ask me what was going on. And sometimes you ran into, sometimes, it's not 100% foolproof. I mean, there's times where a kid is so upset or whatever that they need to be, sent out of the room and maybe dealt with at a later date, let them cool down and all those different things and the strategies. But, really that was, the shift that I saw was the students noticing different way teachers handled things. And then the teachers really seeing, oh, the students talked to me and they listened, and I guess they weren't mad at me. They had a bad morning, and it was really, I needed to, walk them through. So I think it was a learning process for everybody, honestly, with the way we approached it.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. We see with a lot of the schools we work with across our nation that, when you're able to provide a tangible tool for your brain to go to in that fight, flight, or freeze when I'm dealing with that really difficult student or challenging behavior, um, it brings down a lot of my stress and anxiety and willingness to step in and address it and coach and support and be that spotter. And so that's incredible to hear that it seems like staff now is willing to jump in or more willing to jump in because they do have that tool to work with students. Kind of thinking about your implementation and model school process. So once you found RCD, once you heard Larry speak at a conference, could you explain kind of what your next steps were, kind of the nuts and bolts of bringing on-site training on, and then what that looked like in your building?
Sure. So I went to my leadership team, and I said, hey, I went to this conference, saw Larry. Man, this is exactly what I've been looking for. But you guys, I brought back the materials. I showed them. I said, hey, do you think we could bring him in for a one-day training? Just to kind of get feel for the staff, what they're thinking. So they said, sure, yeah, let's bring him in. And I would say we weren't even to lunch break yet. And I had teachers like, we're doing it. We're in. This is awesome. I mean, once they heard Larry's message, I think they're like, man, why haven't we been treating kids like this all the time? Why haven't we been talking to them? Why have we been sending them out? Why have we been doing those different things like that? So, to me, luckily, it was not a very difficult implementation process. My leadership said, yep, bring in Larry. Looks like a great idea. He came in. Like I said, before lunch, I had probably 99% of the staff going, yeah, this is great. I want to learn more. I want to learn how to do these things. And then, I talked to our school board. They were on board. Superintendent was on board. And really it was just, like I said, I believe it's because I have a good relationship with my staff that they trusted me. First of all, they trusted me of bringing something in like Larry. And when I said this was a great idea and this was going to be something to improve our school, I think that made it that much easier, just because of the relationship that I had built with my staff. And then once they heard Larry talk, they were absolutely on board with that. So unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of, there wasn't a lot of obstacles for me. And I'm sure schools don't always see that. But I can tell you, it was great for me. But since we've become a model school, I've had area schools calling me and asking me to talk to their staff for them. And I would say talking to some of them, I could tell who the resistance was right off the bat. I heard, well, I've always done it this way in my room and it works for me. So why would I do something different? Or that's never going to work, So for me, luckily, my staff, first of all, I think because I built those relationships with my staff and the trust and loyalties there, it was easy for me to bring something in. I can see where going to other schools, first of all, they didn't know me, but I could see they were questioning maybe their administration of, oh, this is just, and then I heard something like, oh, this is just another one of those new things that has a title to it. We'll implement it. It'll be gone in a year. Um, so I can see where the obstacles are going to be because I heard them from other schools. But really for ours, like I said, I was pretty fortunate that my staff, um, like I said, we're a smaller staff, but we've been working together for quite some time. We have trust, loyalty, um, and stuff like that. So this was just a small piece to put the icing on the top of our days are so great right now with our kids and our staff. And, you know, it just makes it so much more enjoyable. We see less kids out of the classroom. We see better attendance. We see better grades. Um, is there times that, like I said, it's not 100% foolproof, but
Mm-hmm.
there's always exceptions to the rule. Kids having a really terrible day or things we can't control where, they're just not, can't talk about it right there. So they need to take a break. And I know we're going to talk a little bit probably later on the in-school solutions stuff and things like that. So it's awesome. It's great. Our days are so much more enjoyable. I think we get more, the students get more out of their days. The teachers don't have the disruptions maybe in the past. So kind of to answer yours, I don't really have any horror stories to tell because we had a pretty easy implementation process. Because once my staff met Larry, it was kind of his stories and his reasoning and all the stuff was just, it hit home with just about all of them.
Absolutely. And I would I would also say your building decided to do kind of the more extensive model school process, which meant more connection to some on-site trainers, more connection to support, both in person and then digital support as well. What did you see as benefits for your building in doing the model school process as opposed to just kind of the one-off, 1 day or 2 days of on-site training?
You know, like we've been in education and I agree with some of the resistance of people of like, oh, is this just another one of those things that my administrator is going to tell me to do and we're only going to do it for this year. In my mind, this was not a 1 year thing. It wasn't a 2 year thing. This was like a forever thing. This was like a culture change here. It was, our culture was good, but this was just going to make it better. I knew it was going to be school wide. I knew it was going to be everyone from the bus drivers to the cooks to the paras to the school board to the teachers. So to me, this was not just a small, we're going to try something and do a little bit. This was a school wide initiative that was going to be here to stay as long as I'm here. I'm hoping, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, maybe forever, maybe a couple of years, whatever, but I'm hoping it's established enough where if I step aside, the staff just keeps it going and the new person steps in. That's kind of the goal, I think, whenever we implement something that we think is a best practice for the kids. So yeah, it was, to me, it was just going to be, this wasn't a small journey. This was going to be, we're in both feet and we're going in and going to do it the right way. And it was just a change for us. It was going to be a whole school change.
Absolutely. And I would also be interested. We've been really kind of centered on how it's impacted adults in your building. Looking here now, entering year 4, how have you seen students change?
It's been just really great. I mean, our kids, they're starting to, they kind of thought it was weird right away of why is the teacher talking to me? Why they want to know about my feelings, things like that. But now the kids, it's one of those things where they don't snap back at the teachers. They know the teachers are gonna talk to them, or if they have a bad day, it's almost they're proactive. Instead of getting to class on a bad day, they might talk to the teacher before class. Hey, I got up late today at bad break. I fought with my mom, or just all of these things that in the past that kids feel more comfortable talking to the teachers. But what I see is less kids getting sent out of the room, so hence more learning. Less disruptions because teachers aren't stopping class to deal with discipline. So more teaching. Our attendance is great. It was over last year. We're starting to do a lot of the data tracking now. I think our attendance was over 94% last year. Our graduation rate is 100%. So we're just seeing it across the board of grades, attendance. I think teachers enjoy being here. They're not a, you know, you always had a couple kids like, oh, I'm just, you know, they, even though we're adults, sometimes there's some tough kids that you don't know how to handle or don't want to. And now I don't see that happening. I see all of our staff handling every student, or at least trying to. They know they have my support. They know they have our Dean of Student support. And kids know the adults are on the same page. So the kids kind of got on the same page with us. And it's going really well for us.
Thinking about from the perspective of you as the building leader and then the people amongst your building leadership team, now that you've got fewer office referrals, fewer fires starting, you know, not figuratively, but you know, fewer fires that are happening from classroom to classroom. What have you seen as a benefit, and what have you been able to do or accomplish, or maybe how is life different now that it's not just putting out small behavioral fires, you know, every hour, every minute, every class period of each day?
I would say the benefit to me, and actually the benefit to the teachers, which ultimately will benefit the kids, is I'm in the classroom more for an instructional leader, curriculum. I'm helping the teachers, you know, improve. I'm more active in the educational process, which ultimately, if I can help my teachers improve, their turnaround is going to be better students, you know, because they're going to get, you know, we're going to get a better product because we're trying new strategies, or maybe I can help teachers with, you know, their weaknesses and things like that. So really the overall benefit is I'm more active now in the classroom on a positive note of the educational side, instructional leader, curriculum, where before, man, if I could get my minimum evaluations done in a year, that was like great. Now I'm always done early with my evaluations. I'm in more rooms more often. Not only do I do evaluations, I do walkthroughs now. I do the 5-minute walkthroughs, and then I just do, you know, I might pop in for a minute. So the teachers, I'm in the room more, I'm more visible, kids see me more, teachers see me more. And overall, I think that just makes a better atmosphere and culture as well. Of I'm not a person in my office who just comes out to yell at people or something like that. You know, I'm more vested in their time. Just this morning, you know, I go around and poke my head into the elementary room and just say good morning now. I can't say I used to always be able to do that because mornings would start out and you're dealing with something. So I have, not that I have free time, but I have just more time, more meaningful time that I can spend with the teachers and the students.
Well, and I think you hit the head on the nail of just it builds the entire culture and climate of your building when you're able to be more visible and be plugged in as that instructional leader or that curriculum leader, and really grow and support your staff in so many different ways besides just getting kind of with the old way of doing things, just getting bogged down with discipline over and over and over again. So thinking about early on in the implementation process, I don't know if it's a specific story or just a feeling that happened in your building where you said, okay, we're on the right track. And I know you had a really supportive staff, but maybe just share one of those kind of early successes of, you know, maybe it's a conversation you had to have with a staff member, maybe it's a story about a conversation you had with a student, or student growth you saw, but something early on in the implementation process where you went, okay, I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them, but it's funny, you know, we do the scenarios and the training with the staff, and sometimes that's always awkward, you know, that kind of stuff. And we were practicing, and we do PLCs, which I feel is a opportunity for them to practice, which is, I think, is a must when you do this. But what I was getting, where the first time I remember was teacher comes running to my office and they're like, I did it. I'm like, did what? I gave 5 and it worked, you know. And so I started seeing teachers come to me feeling good about themselves when they were doing these things and they were working. Or in the other side too, teachers now were telling on themselves, they came down and be like, I didn't do a very good job today, I'm gonna give them 5. You know, so when I saw staff members reflecting on themselves, that was awesome to me. That was like, these guys are taking it because they were excited when it worked, and they were just totally devastated when it didn't work. They're like, they'd come down and give me the whole, he made me so mad. I lost my cool and I couldn't get past, this, and I just had to send them out, or so it was when I saw staff, to me, that was volumes, spoke volumes, because they were excited when it worked and they knew it worked, and they were so disappointed when it didn't work, but they were disappointed themselves. So really, those were the times that I knew that we were on the right track. Teachers bought in. This was going to be a good thing, because it was awesome to see the teachers just kind of feel so good when they made that connection with the kid. And then it was kind of funny to me looking back now when they kind of, I'd say, failed, but they didn't complete it all. They felt so bad they couldn't get through it all. So that's when I knew, and those were the stories. So it's pretty awesome when you see the adults get excited about something like that. So,
well, and Aaron, I think you would agree with this. I know when you have to have those hard conversations with staff about working through those challenging moments, and maybe we didn't do it 100%. When you don't have a reference point, or you don't have shared language or a common way you're doing things, how difficult that conversation can become. And it's so positive and encouraging to hear that, we've moved away from all the frustrations and anger and stress that lived in worlds when we didn't have shared systems or a shared way that we did things, to it doesn't feel evaluative. It doesn't feel like you're judging. It feels like we're all in this together, working on our skill to help and better support kids.
Right.
So very, very encouraging stuff. If there's someone out there that is looking at RCD and going, does this really work? Like, is this just hooey fooey? Is this just one of those programs like you had mentioned before, that'll come and be gone next year? And they're looking for answers. What would you say to that person that might be kind of skeptical, but is looking for answers somewhere, but just isn't quite sure if RCD is for them?
I would say, well, to me, just a personal thing is, I was going through education. Relationships to me have always been important. I've been a pretty patient person, not judgmental, not confrontational. So to me, I think it's part of my personality, I think, when going through this. But I would say with RCD, I mean, if you want to do what's best for students, if you want to get to know your students better, I mean, those tough students are the ones that need us the most. And those are the ones that sometimes we don't have the patience, or we send them out and let somebody else deal with. But I would say, once you realize that, even that student, if that one student realizes, hey, everybody cares about me, or everybody wants help, I think really, if you are there for the kids, if you are really teaching or an administrator and you want what's best for kids, to me, this is kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. Is it time consuming? Yep. Is it their time to implement? Yep. Like I said, we're still not perfect, and it's 3 years. We're year 4. It's not a 1-year fix. It's not a 2-year fix, but I think you will see a change in your culture, a change in your environment. Like I said, I've seen better attendance. I've seen better teaching. Can't argue with 100% graduation rate. There's just things you can't argue with. And if kids want to be here, isn't that what we want? Isn't that and they want to be in the classroom. They don't want to get kicked out. They want to be in the classroom. They want to learn. They know they have adults they can go to. So to me, it's a no-brainer. So how do you convince somebody of that? To me, if you're an open-minded and you're looking to do what's best for kids, I mean, to me, you got to take a look at it. You just got to take a look. And that's what I tell people. If you don't trust me or want to listen to me, you need to get Larry or one of you guys in front of your staff one day. That's all. I think if people hear the message and how it works, to me, it took less than half a day for my staff to hear Larry talk, and I didn't even have to ask if they wanted to do it. They were telling me we were doing it. So, like I said, just hear the message and hear what it entails. But it is going to be work, and it is going to take time. But to me, I feel it's best for kids, And it also eventually, it makes the teachers feel good too. So like I said, it's to me, it's a culture change. It's a mindset change. But I would never do anything else. This is who I am and what we do. And as long as I'm the leader here, this is the path we're going to continue down. So I don't know what else to say.
That's it. That's awesome. Aaron, you will see Aaron a lot. He is going to be a source for us, episode after episode. He had mentioned in-school solutions, what our office referral process looks like. Aaron's going to be our guy for that here coming up soon. But love the overview, love the insight, loved his perspective. And like I said, we'll have him on for some more topical episodes as we move down the road. But hope you found some insights, some tips. Like I said, some really helpful perspective through our conversation with Aaron. And it is Hawaiian Shirt Day where he's at. So he does not wear a Hawaiian shirt every day. But it is Spirit Week where they're at. And so I wouldn't judge him anyways if he did wear a Hawaiian shirt every day. But with that said, that concludes our time with Aaron today. And like I said, get used to seeing his face more because we will have him on again. But that wraps up today's episode of RCD Roundtable. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. My pleasure.